I'm addicted to you. What is it? Addicted to. I'm addicted to the whatever.
Gun broker.
Roll. Let's let's roll the intro.
Thanks for tuning into the Carrie Hannah podcast. Here's your host, Bryce and Kevin.
Welcome back to the Carrie Handle podcast. With me, as always, is Kevin, and I am Bryce. How are you, Kevin?
I'm well, Bryce.
I did sort of forget my own name there for a minute.
You are Bryce. I am Kevin.
I am. Yes. I've only said that a couple times, maybe 30 for the past 30 years or so.
Today,
or maybe not 30. Wait.
Perhaps we can attack your crippling gun broker addiction.
I don't know how much it's going to be about gun broker necessarily, as much as my, I don't know, never-ending need to build guns and have some ridiculous amount of projects going on at once.
Well, you have more projects than the Bible has pages, so.
I actually finished 2 projects today, I'll have you know.
That's like saying I finished 2 verses of the Bible.
That's still walking forward. 2 steps forward, my friend. 2 steps forward.
That is true. Talking about projects, still do you have one revolving some type of bolt action old hunting rifle?
Was that a play on for a bolt action revolving? Because you rotate the bolt.
Well, I was trying to lead you into talking about your bolt action project.
Oh, bolt action project, do you say?
Bryce, please specifically talk about your bolt action project. Thank you.
I have a couple bolt action projects, Kevin. So in the vein of me refocusing on my own collection and realizing, hey, maybe I can make some of the guns that I already own kind of fun, more entertaining.
Balling on a budget.
On a budget.
Bougie on a budget.
No, not bougie on a budget. I would say more very focused. So what more capability driven than namesake?
Yes, the capabilities.
So basically, the first thing that kind of spawned my interest was my interest in running a 7mm that rim mag that I inherited from my grandfather. Yeah. It was the rifle that actually gave me my first black eye from shooting related injuries in terms of scope bite.
I've had that happen. It's
I went
so
from
jarring when it happens.
Well, I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, maybe. And my dad had me go from shooting a 243, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you could probably handle this." So he puts me behind it, and you know, I'm trying to figure out the eye box and stuff like that, and the trigger on this thing is heavier than my little finger can go.
Yeah,
at that age. So I finally muster up just enough strength to press this round off. As I'm pressing the round off, I'm seeing the scope coming at me at the speed of Mach fuck. And then it's like black, and then I'm looking up.
Wow.
And I'm like, well then.
In that moment, he fell in love with bolt action rifles.
Yeah, basically. So now I have that gun. And I was thinking it'd be kind of fun to make it, maybe update it, because I know we had discussed maybe off air or on this episode, on this podcast or maybe another podcast that we may have been a guest speaker, or we may have been guest speakers on.
I mean, didn't you make dummy rounds for it too? Weren't we running dummy rounds?
Yeah, so I did also make my own DIY dummy rounds for the 7 rim mag, because it ended up being cheaper than buying the A-zip or whatever the heck aluminum dummy rounds, which by the way I ended up buying anyway.
Oh Jesus.
So I ended up getting those anyway. They're very good quality ones, but then I broke the firing pin on the Howa, and I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but it's kind of a pain in the ass finding just the firing pin for these things. So you have to like basically buy like a rebuild kit off of eBay from some bubba from middle of bumfuck wherever the hell I don't know, in Idaho.
My daddy has this rifle. Here's the parts from it.
My man is selling them for $80. I got taken for a ride, but I needed this rebuild kit.
So was that Well, I mean, normally you like me taking rides, but this one sounds very not fun.
There was no safe word. I just got raw dogged. The Japanese raw dog.
You dropped the soap in the shower again.
I know.
$80?
They returned Hiroshima in kind with the Howa.
Jesus.
That may have been a bit much.
What did you get for 80? So,
by the way, if anybody was wondering why that was a really kind of in poor taste joke, Howa is a Japanese company, and technically it's a Weatherby Vanguard, but it's made by Howa. So
there's the context that we were missing. Thank you.
Possibly a little insensitive, but still sort of funny.
What'd you get for $80?
A rebuild kit, and not even a reach around.
What is? What comes in it?
I don't know. It's the actual. So the firing pin on this thing is as long as the bolt, so it's massive and it's cylindrical. I mean, it's very
phallic.
It is very phallic. Yes, you did. Just by the tip.
That's what she said.
It's and then there's some. It comes with the spring and one of the like threaded bits that helps you time it or something. I'm not very familiar with bolt actions and specifically Japanese bolt actions. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm working on it.
Anyway, okay. So you got the parts kit coming because the firing pin broke.
Yep. So and then I have the 20 MOA base is coming. The upgraded base is coming tomorrow as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep the scope that's already on it, which is also the scope that gave me the black eye. So it's a 30-year-old scope.
Very memorable. Yeah, it looks it's really clear. Is it like?
Yeah, it's a Leupold. I mean, it's still crystal clear.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, it's the German T cross, like very standard T cross reticle. I mean, there's no holds or anything like that.
Right. It's the movie cross. All the Hollywood movies use
basically
the same scope.
Yeah, it's a 1-inch tube. So I upgraded the rings, or not upgrade. I don't know how much of an upgrade it is. I did a cardinal sin. I got SIG Buckmaster rings.
Are you okay?
They were the most accessible.
Do you need help?
Thing. I know. Okay. So this project is more in the vein of, instead of using a project to keep you from the range, how about maybe you do invest in the cheaper thing to get you going? And maybe my co-host has been trying to tell me to do that for like 10 years, and I'm just now figuring that out.
No, I've never told you to make what you have better and just use it.
Well, it's not even just that necessarily, but I mean, me investing like a couple $100 in an Arkin scope just to get to the range, and then maybe save for a better one down the line instead of having to drop some money on a Night Force.
Oh, you're giving some foreshadowing.
2.5 to 20. Yeah, probably.
Wow.
That's probably what's happening. I just got to figure out. And then honestly, because I'm probably getting rid of that M&P, I'll take the acro off of that and just
Why
use it like
are you so against it? I worked so hard to get you into the M&P.
I've said it on the podcast now, so I kind of have to do it now.
I worked so hard to get you into the M&P, and then I promptly sold mine.
That was such bullshit. He's like, I'm like, oh yeah, we can shoot these back to back on a range day. He's like, oh, about that.
Yeah, I'm like, interesting you say that.
Well, it's funny. So I have the M&P compact, and I was like, oh, well, I'm not really feeling that. But then I brought out my dad's M&P 45, and I've been tinkering with that. Actually, that is literally what's in my hand. And I've been fitting like an old school 10-8 Magwell, and
so
I'm getting excited about this gun, but the other one I don't even want.
When are you gonna start complaining about them kids on your lawn and shaking your fist?
Oh man, I'm close. I'm already. Did I tell you? I don't know if I told you this, but I'm actually carrying that 625 full time.
Oh, all right there, Grandpa.
Yeah, 6-round 45 ACP. I do carry 185 P or 185 grain plus P PDX Defender. So
Well, they all follow the Hollard ball,
which is why it's hollow. It is a jacketed hollow point.
Oh, it's God's caliber. So
it is God's caliber, and sometimes I carry little 3-round half moon clip reloads like a man.
Yeah, because 1986 Miami shootout means nothing to you.
Which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me because like half the other half, or Jesus, the other half the time I'm carrying that. Half of the time I'm carrying a 22 Magnum J frame. So, and I missed the drop for that red dot mount I was telling you about. So as soon as I get that, I will talk about that because I will have the first red dot 22 Magnum J frame, and I swear if somebody beats me to it, I'm gonna cry.
As an old man would cry.
Well, no, I think that would be really exciting, except for the part where the trigger's like 18 pounds and feels like a stapler that hates you.
Don't rob me. Let me just staple you to the wall there, sonny.
I don't even keep. I sometimes I was carrying a speed strip with that gun for a while, but it was just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trying to reload that. I'm like, do I really want to do that? But
I don't know. I'm trying to work my way back to Glock 19 carrying
from the P365.
Yeah.
What's the why?
I don't know. I just kind of want to change it up. You know, I feel like my test of handling of firearms, I always use the Glock to boost my own ego. You know, anytime I get to the range, I'm just like, meh. Pick up the Glock and I'm just like, hammer everything perfectly fine.
Mm.
But then again, it was my first gun. Well, it is my first gun, rather.
Right. And, which is funny because my first handgun, I think I shoot probably the worst.
Oh, the FN.
Yeah, the
FNS9.
Yeah, 9L. There it is. We got it.
Yeah, that massive 5-inch slide. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't necessarily the problem. It was just like so oversprung. I don't know if you remember that, but it felt like it felt like it was a recoil spring out of the 40 caliber. And I think I read somewhere on one of the forums back in the day, because the reason I bought that gun was because John Johnston of Ballistic Radio, I don't know if anybody actually knows who that is anymore, but he used to have a really popular podcast and radio show, Ballistic, talking about shooting and training and interviewing, which is actually kind of how I loosely wanted this show to be, but it took its own way. So he was somebody that I followed for a while, and he used to test guns, and one of the guns he was testing for 10 minutes was the FN9L, but the test got canceled. But I actually bought it because of that test.
Nice.
So, well, I should have just bought the Glock 34 to begin with. I ended up buying one anyway. So,
yeah, and then you put a New York trigger in it, and you got tired of it and took it out.
No, it's back. It's back in there. It just has back in there trigger now. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, nice. The trigger was too light. I don't like that.
I mean, I broke the trigger safety on mine. I didn't even realize it was broken until you pointed it out to me.
Yeah. Kevin has a lovely habit of like getting guns to just get absolutely to the point of being unsafe, and then I walk in and the gun's like, "Oh, hey, you should tell him that I'm gonna kill him. I might explode in his face."
I had no idea that it was broken. I was like, no. Yeah,
it's not even like one time this has happened. This is like I'm permanent staff, like a permanent armorer staff for him.
I just call you up and just say, hey, this really weird kind of thing. It's a grenade. Get rid of it. Are you sure? Of course I'm sure.
Okay. Did you send me a picture and you were like, were you cleaning it and you saw like what you thought was a crack? What happened? I don't remember how that happened.
That was a Glock 22.
Which, by the way, Glock 22's never known for cracking slide.
It was like a clapped out Glock 22 police traded that I was having fun like shooting 40 with. And I was cleaning it. I sent a picture. I'm like, hey, Bryce, what's this like blemish right here? And it's like, that's a crack, my guy. Like, is that bad? Depends. Do you like hand grenades? I'm like, So I took it back to where it came. Never mind where it came from, and sold it to them.
Yeah. Well, so that was one time. And then the AK.
I don't know if I consider the AK because we were unconfirmed. It was.
Okay, so what I will say,
I didn't really want to get rid of it. I kind of had to. But in hindsight, being 2020, the problems that it was exhibiting.
Yeah.
Well, here you can talk about kind of what the problems are since you're an armorer and kind of what you're.
Well, I'm not. I don't really work on AKs, but I mean, from what I understood, from like the limited interaction we had when the gun was working,
popping primers and spinning brass.
It was popping primers a lot. It was what, stuck cases? Did you have stuck cases?
No, I never. Actually, funny enough, I never had a stuck case.
You didn't have stuck cases? Okay.
Nope.
I remembered. I know it would stuff primers down that firing pin channel.
Yeah.
Like, and then I think you had a slam fire gun at one point.
Yeah. I mean, it happened once or twice. It would stuff primers, like primer dust and stuff back there, like it was a damn chipmunk.
Now, he also had some carrier tail deformation. It didn't. I mean, it was under 1,000 rounds, and it was already mushrooming over. But I mean, that could have slowed down after a while. That's that's not something I'm willing to say for sure.
I remember taking that thing apart, putting a new hammer spring in it, and cutting the ever living crap out of my fingers. Which, I mean, it's a real it's a rite of passage. I feel like.
Well, I also remember trying to play with when I what did I take the dust cover and the bolt out just to take a look, and then the spring just hopped, the arm for the sling or for the trigger reset, I think, just popped off. I was like, what the hell?
Yep.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just looked at it and it was like, ah.
Yeah. I mean, that thing was. I mean, it ran, but I don't know. It was probably pretty close to something catastrophic happening.
Well, my favorite thing was the slow motion video that you took, where you see because I put the slow mo of mine and his on top of each other, and his gun is so violent. It's just rippling the whole way.
Every case that came out of that gun was almost like Yuri Gagarin, just waiting to go to space. Comrade.
Dude,
as soon as I fire, just like do off to space it goes.
I think AKs exclusively yeet out Dogecoin because it's just to the moon every fucking time.
Remember when we were at the range together? We were really trying to be some pests. They were just bag dumping, just shattering.
And you were just raining brass down on the guy on the last bay. We're on the first bay, by the way.
Yeah, it was 12. It was like 12, 20 feet away. Just
and he's just left sprinkling brass. Well, steel case lacquered dog shit ammo. This just raining on this man.
he left. He's like, meh. Dude, I used to use that AK. I would do that. I would literally stand in. So there's at this range I go to, there's 3 different bays. There's a concrete wall, cinder block wall separating them. I would stand in the last bay on the last. What am I thinking of? Counter.
Right.
And one of the days, I'd angle my AK in the wind. If the wind was favorable, I would just start ripping it. And then the people, I'd empty the mag, I'd clear it. And I would just kind of casually just act like I was stretching my legs or something just to see. And I would see people moving from the first 2 lanes of the next bay over because I was just throwing fucking hot brass at them all day.
So Kevin has this thing about buying guns that just send cases into the cosmos because the Glock 22 did that. The CCP I think did that.
That's on the wall.
That was galactic.
That's still on the wall at the local gun store. I can get it back if I wanted to.
Yeah, so I almost think you should. That gun's pretty cool.
Yeah, I might. It was so hot. I never shot it.
It's not fun to shoot though.
It was hateful. Yeah,
it really was.
Burn your hands.
It was cool though. It's just a cool gun.
Yeah, but I'm kind of moved past that cool gun wanting.
Okay.
I might get another AK at some point in my life, but
I find myself going back to cool guns because I'm looking at older guns. I don't really want newer guns anymore.
I feel like this year I want to try and focus more on buying ammo and getting out to the range more, because I haven't been out to the range in a while.
That's kind of the theme, kind of, what we were talking about just a little bit ago about with the bolt action. That's the theme for me this year is finish some projects enough to go to the range. They don't need to be finished, but I need to go to the range. I need to try them out, because we had my coworker Vince on, and I mean he's very famous.
Is he still taking out the trash?
Is he?
I mean, we told him to take out the trash like 6 months ago. He never came back.
He never came back. How rude.
Maybe he will.
So he's always very famous. He's not much about he likes doing. He wants to get to a point enough. Yeah. He wants to get to a point enough to go out and try stuff. And for me, I definitely feel like I overthink things. And Kevin is probably laughing.
Well, no, that's pretty accurate. You're more of a paper guy. Like on paper, your ideas are very fleshed out, very meticulous.
Yeah.
But like you would plan out a gun project, and by the time you got it completely done, you were moving on to. I mean, the AK is a great example. You planned that out for a while. As soon as it came here, meh.
Well, no, I did shoot that for a while though.
You did.
That actually went up. That went on a lot of trips with us actually. So actually, that was probably the last one though. Now that you're saying that, that may be the last actual project I did anything with. Yeah. I shot the that Mac 9.
Oh yeah, the T-Sauce.
I mean, I shot that maybe 1,000 rounds, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully they're hearing this after the lovely video we put up.
Honestly, it could be 50-50. I might just put this one up instead, because the other one, there's no time restriction for that one. I don't think it really matters.
Not really.
But either way, so that, I mean, I did compete with that, but I will say really quickly, I was just kind of thinking about that, the recoil. I was thinking about how distinct the recoil from AKs are, and just how much of just a steady push you get from it is. And then when you go to like a piston gun or like a short stroke gun, it's so violent. It's very interesting.
Well, my AK was violent, so I don't know.
It was, but it was still,
I mean, the whole gun flexed. So completely flexed every time I shot it.
Yeah, I mean, mine does, but it's way less because it's way less gas than yours is. But I would also say, so I shoot a lot of ARs. For my job, that's something that I do. So I'm used to a certain kind of recoil all day long. And then when you go to a different gun, it's really interesting. There's different characteristics in the description and how the gun interacts with your body during the cycle of recoil is fascinating. Like with an AK, there are distinct stages in the recoil, and it's really cool.
Well, for me, it was pulling the trigger and then immediately getting punched in the shoulder.
Well, you also had a wire folder, and
yeah, I did. That fucking triangle. Remember when the triangle folder snapped on that thing?
Well, I remembered it not like locking, and I was like, man, it's not locking, and it kind of feels like the deten's kind of loose, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then I realized it was the back of the stock wobbling and not the front, and then that it was only being held on by one weld.
Oh yeah, that thing was awesome.
Yeah, and then I think it took a small act of God to get the new Bulgarian one on there.
Yes. Yes,
that was a lot of work. That was so much work.
Fun. I got the itch today to take apart my GSG MP5.
Did you get the itch enough to put it back together?
Yes.
It is back together and it actually works. You know this for a fact?
I'm not sure if it fires, but it definitely chambers and it extracts. So, I mean,
okay,
that's 2 out of 3, right?
I mean, that's most of what you need. I would argue there's a pretty big step in there that
I'm surprised that a lot of it's plastic. A lot of the bolt is plastic.
Well, I mean, it's It's a 22. They're barely bigger or better than anything like a BB gun.
I'll tell you what I did. I forgot the order of operations to put it back together. I just pulled the bolt. I pulled the bolt out.
Was it a 10-year-old YouTube video that saved your life?
5.
I wasn't too far off.
So you're supposed to put the bolt in, or you put the bolt in the handle on kind of simultaneously because they kind of match up when you put them on together. I just dropped the bolt in there, and also I flipped the little spring out. I found the spring. All the parts I found. And I put the bolts. I get it in there, and I pull the charging handle back, and it activates. Pulls the thing back. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I let the charging handle go forward. Nothing. Bolt's still fucking activated. And I was like, what the fuck? So what I do, Bryce?
I don't know. What did you do, Kevin?
I unscrewed the recoil spring lungs, and I didn't realize they were the recoil spring lungs until after I unscrewed them and pulled them out. And in the end, the bolt it came out. I was like, bleh, and then the spring was like, bleh. I was like, oh, those are the recoil spring. Oh, tits.
So that's interesting. So on the HK MP5 22 SD thing that my wife has, it's almost like a tunable recoil spring, so you can tighten it for.
Yeah. That's
so is yours similar?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're like ridiculously tight, so I might have to tune them up. We'll see. I'm really gonna try to go out to the range tomorrow.
What I like doing for tuning stuff like that is putting, especially your gun locks open on last round, right?
Occasionally.
So what you might do is get like the weakest ammo that you can find, and that'll somewhat reliably function. And then you can put one round in the magazine and then tighten it as tightly as you can, and then start backing it off until it locks open. And then just back it off a little bit more, give it just a little bit less tension.
I mean, I have like a box of a Gila.
I think a Gila is pretty warm, isn't it? That's that Spanish stuff?
I don't know. It's like 40 degrees, so we'll see if that runs and cool. Like, I'm not worried about it.
If you're buying in bulk, just tune it for the bulk that you buy, because like 5 or however, because usually I buy them in like 2,000 rounds at a time, because 22 is nothing. So I have like bricks of it, so I might as well just tune to that load because I have a shitload of it now.
Well, every time I get my hair cut once a month, because my hair grows slow and I'm an old man. But there's an academy right there, so I just usually get my hair cut, pop into academy, pick up a box or two of whatever the flavor of the week is that I'm feeling, and then I get some Panda Express and go home.
Kevin, I think I should build a 6-ARC.
You've been listening to the group too much.
The group? What group?
Didn't you and the tactical go back and forth about 6-ARC?
No. We were talking about 300 short mag and 300 win mag in 7 PRC. Yeah. So that was another thing we can kind of wrap up on, is I was talking my beautiful wife's ear off today of my little conundrum. The bolt action 7 Rimag inheritance project sparked a desire and a yearning for another bolt action. So I'm looking at buying another bolt action and making it the updated version of this hunting rifle. So having both of them and running them side by side and seeing which one and how much more you get out of a purpose-built gun than your grandfather's hunting rifle.
That would be interesting. Keeping the hunting rifle pristine, kind of as a family heirloom.
Well, no, I'm updating it. I'm giving it a 20 MOA base, updated rings, and a red dot, just a piggyback red dot.
Oh God, you and the
yeah, I know.
You wouldn't put a red dot on your penis if you could. You really honestly would.
Honestly, it would help aim. I'm just saying. So I'd put an IR laser on there too. That'd be fucking crazy. Can you imagine like the helicopter IR strobe party?
Jesus.
So I was thinking about building then the modern equivalent, but having it be that practical rifle we talked about when we were talking to Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought, instead of, because I know we had talked about, or I'd mentioned a 300 Win Mag on that show, or that episode. So what I was thinking, one of our friends on Discord and was talking about calibers. He's really into different calibers, Wildcat calibers, and he's a lot more informed than I am. And he had brought up 300 Winchester Short Magnum, which is pretty equivalent to 300 Win Mag for all intents and purposes. In terms of ballistically, they're very similar. And one is known as a short action magnum, which means it fits in the same action size as like a 308. So you get a shorter action, so it's not as long, it's quicker. Typically they're lighter, and some people say that the smaller actions have better harmonics for accuracy or rigidity or something like that. I'm not really that informed on it. I just know that can be a factor. So short action magnum is very attractive. Downsides, I think less barrel life. Today, I also kind of did a dry run just to kind of see what kind of ammunition availability. There was like one load for 300 Winchester short mag, and there was like 10 different loads for 300 Win Mag. There was a 7 PRC load. There was a 6.5 PRC. There was a 7 Rim Mag. There was 7 mil.
You would have to just get into reloading, like small time reloading.
So the concept for this rifle would be, I could take it. It's 50 state legal. I could take it with me. It doesn't look too out of place, but I can still very quickly bring it up and turn someone's chest cavity into puree. Because that was kind of the idea, is have a bullet, because a 308 bullet going at 300 Win Mag velocities is very effective.
Don't take my wallet, sir. You're 800 meters away from me.
I've turned you inside out. I'm sorry.
That man, he was threatening me.
So that's kind of the concept here, is that it's a rifle, and I know I think I've mentioned this before, but like the military's concept of overmatch, bringing that to a civilian rifle and just having it way more capable than it needing to be. Now, with that being said, once you start slinging bigger bullets, you get more recoil. Right. So then you start getting into, okay, well, does it make more sense to have a handier caliber that you can run quicker? Yeah. But then it turns into like, okay, volume of fire versus sheer terminal ballistics effect on, 308 bullets do a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like, it's the age old like 9mm versus 357 Magnum,
Yeah, effectively. So I know we had discussed this before, but one of the benefits to getting a bolt action over a gas gun is that there are calibers you can run out of a bolt action that you really just can't accurately or reliably or even really feasibly run out of a semi-automatic gun, like a lot of the Magnum calibers. When we're not talking about like Nemo Arms or any of the boutique calibers or rifle companies.
Well, realistically, it opens the horizons for the capabilities that you can do.
Right. You don't have to worry about trying to feed out of a box magazine in a semi-automatic. So you don't have to worry about a bolt going back and forth unless it's you running a bolt. It's easier to make those run than it is a semi-automatic with a gas system. Right. So, and then it's in the same capacity that people still buy revolvers, because you can get Magnum caliber revolvers, but it's a little bit harder fitting that ballistic or that kind of bullet design or cartridge design in a semi-automatic. Then you get a Desert Eagle, and those don't really work that well. So,
but they're cool as hell.
They are very cool, super cool. But the point stands.
If someone pulling the Desert Eagle on me if I was trying to rob you and you pull the Desert Eagle, I would just be, you know what? You have a good day. You have a good day.
But so my point being that both those rifles are not near as popular as they used to be, because they're kind of being outpaced by modern guns, but there's still a place for them, which is they have cartridges that have crazy massive payloads that you just can't get out of a semi-automatic as reliably or feasibly. So in my mind, if I'm running a bolt action, because I already have a semi-automatic 308, so in my mind, like why would I want a 308 bolt action when I could just use what that, or use the benefit that it offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So more bullet, more cartridge, fast bullet, devastating. Like, okay,
I still want a TT3 scout rifle if I can find one.
I want scout rifles for different things. Just those are more for the practicality or for the marksmanship or for the craft, the rifleman craft. But this 300 short mag or something like that, something comparable. That rifle, I haven't quite figured out. I haven't quite fleshed it out yet, but I know what chassis it's going to have, or I know what stock it's going to have, and I roughly know the optic it's going to have. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So that I'll start updating everybody on my projects in normal videos too. We'll have Bryce's updated project hour.
Wow.
There's plenty of projects to go around, so we'll always have content. Don't you worry.
And there'll be a coupon to a free therapy session afterwards.
Honestly, I could just go through our Discord and just like all my ideas, the skunk works. Just go through that. So, but we got anything else?
No, not that I can think of.
All right. Well, then I think we should roll that friggin' outro.
Here it comes.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Very cool. You should like and subscribe.
On Facebook and Instagram.
And Twitter and Spotify. You should listen there too. If you
aren't they
heard
listening
this on Spotify.
to this on Spotify right now?
Well, they could be, but there's also YouTube podcasts, so all of the places.
We always forget where we post this stuff.
We don't know where this is. Thank you for listening wherever you're listening to, but you should also like the other places that we are. And
Who are we and what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know how we got here. So thank you for letting us talk directly into your ear holes.
Yeah, right to the brain.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Adios.